bird. It's cooler in the house than it is out there. Jeez. What in the hell? Don't make no sense. It's cooler in here than it is outside. What in the world? Yo. Now that was in there since last night. I didn't go back because they must have put it in there after about 4 o'clock. I don't get that dude sound like he always sounds like he's high or drunk. The guy sounds like he should be retired. But anyway. So they're stacking stuff up. UPS and FedEx just went in there when I was pulling out. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I'm not hanging around for no hour or two. Man, I want to come back, read, and get ready to break this intermittent fast. So we're going to go ahead and read. And that way I can go ahead and get my little fresh drink. Intermittent fasting, you have this window where it's about 6 hours you can eat. It doesn't matter what time it is. I prefer a 5-hour window where I eat about 2 meals. And then the rest of them hours, 16, 18 hours, nothing. You know what I mean? But I do calisthenics, very light. I got to be, squats, everything. So I don't tear nothing up again. You know what I mean? So if you get where I'm coming from. You dig? That's what I gotta do. And it feels good doing it that way. It's like you work smarter. After all them years powerlifting, martial arts, this, that, and other. I always tell people, a lot of people work out and they sit there, they don't want to listen to somebody who has been there and done that. It's like, dude, I was a powerlifter. It doesn't matter whether it's amateur or whatever. I was in the military and we competed and we were, pulverizing. I mean, like behind the neck pressing 315 pounds. I'm dead serious. One of the worst things you can do. One time, one rep, maybe 2. I mean, benching 475, in my 20s, and 30s, early 30s. I didn't do that, no more than 315 up to like a couple of years ago. And I stopped with the heavy lifting. It's power doesn't come from that, people. Power, it's almost like a psychosis. It's almost like being a sociopath. I had this friend of mine, Eric. Sip. Skinny. Very light skinned, tall. He was light, like 165, 50 pounds, 55 pounds. You could be a 250 pound dude. His height, he would slide you. I watch him knock big dudes out in one hit. I mean, just, it's power, it's speed. It doesn't come from big muscles. It doesn't. And it doesn't matter how much you lift, how many times you hit a heavy bag. It's something up here and in here. It's not even your diet. It's a mind state, Some people are neurotic and sociopaths, so they have this condition of violence. And then there are those who, it's like hereditary. You know, you're born, you come into this world with it, and if it ain't been beat out of you, because sometimes them beatings can make you a chicken, or they can make you a real sociopath. I had men around me, so it was almost like first nature. You know what I mean? So it took many years. It took like 28, 30 years to realize that I didn't have to lift heavy weight to handle business. No, it really did. It really did. And all them drills, hitting the heavy bag, the speed bag, all that stuff. It's good for coordination. It's good for muscle memory. But when your muscle memory gets there, when you get there, how much more do you have to do? Do you have to wear yourself out? Do you have to beat yourself down completely? No, man. There's a time when you go so far and you back off, and then you start culminating other things, other factors. You know, I guess you can say that's when you get into the spirituality of it. Like a duality, like you're here, you're present, but then there's that one part that you can reach into that bag. And if you trained a certain way and you realize, well, you know what? I don't want to go no further. There's no need to. I need to go in another direction with this and see what I can attain other than the same thing that, because I don't want to get out there and make millions boxing in the ring, getting punch drunk and concussions and all that. That's just, you know, that will slow you down. That will manifest itself, you know, in a very bad way, especially with the diets, the food and everything else, you know, today. You dig what I'm saying? Anyway, let's go ahead and get into this reading. Let me turn this down a little more, because even though I'm not really hungry right now, I'm not going to weigh myself for like the next month and a half, 2 months. Unnecessary. That's a stigma. That's like saying happy birthday. It's like, you just want to die that fast? It's not a fear of it. It's why make it more practical when that's a divisive scheme, a system set up by the enemy to which we never practice. No, never. Who needs to know how old you are if you're here to live on the earth you were made for? You see what I did? Inversion, like reverse it. All right, so let's go ahead and get in George Jones, An Original History of Ancient America. Remember I said later on we're going to do Gods of Eden, and oh man, that olive oil with that make your head itch. Now I watch, you know, I use just to let you know, I use like 2 different types of soap. And one is kind of like made out of pine and pitch, like pine and all natural herbs and stuff like that. And then the other one, it's kind of the same, but without the pine. And you wash your hair, you wash everything, and you don't even have to use a rag because it has they all come in different shapes. This stuff is incredible. Besides, I take cool. Usually I get into the cool and then turn it to cold, or I'll turn it to cold and I'll jump in and be do my little dance and everything, and then my body adjusts and I'm breathing and I'm like, okay, Wim Hof, that's right. You know, David Hawkins, go hard, you know, and you know, and the pores are closed, but you're saturated. You know what I mean? Like, it's a reverse from what we've been made to believe. Hot showers are not good for you. Not at all. That's why people run around bucket ass crazy, I think. But anyway, let's go ahead and get to this. George Jones, An Original History of Ancient America. I appreciate those who have come in, who stick around. Maybe you learned something today. Maybe I'll learn something. We have already, when we left off, it was at the red, blue, yellow, black, and white colors. We have already called this edifice, the temple, believing it not to have been originally a palace. This distinction is nearly defined from the fact that hieroglyphics are found upon the edifice. For hieroglyphics, for example, sacred and symbolical writing, and constitute the religious language of nearly all the ancient nations. And what's in religion? This is their made up crap, y'all. Religion whenever you hear me say religion, throw it off. If we're talking about back ancient times. Nobody had no religion. The word is that's to keep everybody submissive, subdued, subjugated to something be outside of you. You're your own religion. You dig what I'm saying? So anyway, let's go on. Religious language of nearly all the ancient nations, as if they know, but of Egypt especially. The language of religion and the heretic, that of the priests, were placed upon the sacred edifices, and being so placed, proved them to be temples. Prove them, so they say. This is not knocking. This is calling into question how they write. You know, they use words dynamic to the curriculums that have educated people to a lower self, to raise, to tear down, and then to incise the words when you're reading. And it's like we'll pass by and we won't pay attention to what the word actually means or where its origin. You know, okay, that's the reason why I'm doing that. Okay. Those languages were also painted upon mummy cloths and coffins, all sculptured upon the outward granite sarcophagi. You know, sarcophagi? Anyway, the Egyptians holding the rites of sepulture in the most sacred estimation, for those rites were only granted upon a public investigation of the character of the deceased and a general verdict in his favor. This post-mortem examination of character even the king was not exempt from, and the poor subject of Egypt could bring his accusation against the deceased monarch, with the privilege of sustaining his charges by facts and arguments. For by the laws of Egypt, every Egyptian was considered equal and noble with his countryman, character and talent being the only distinctions to entitle the deceased to sepulture, and the hieroglyphical inscriptions to perpetuate a name. The king of Egypt might, and in parentheses it states, and it was a custom, and might build his own monument in sarcophagus, inscribe them with his victories and virtues, but his body after death would not be placed within, unless at the public ordeal upon his life and character, the people should grant permission. If such a custom obtained at the present day, how many lying tombstones and monumental effigies would escape the charge of falsehood, and how many unrecorded possessors of talent and character would breathe in marble for the imitation of their posterity? 2 words: permission, three: permission, falsehood, and imitation. Pay attention when I'm reading. Okay? The incorporeal language, for example, the common or spoken, was not placed alone on sacred edifices. Did you hear that? But we just read paragraph before, right? The incorporeal language, for example, the common or spoken, this is language, was not placed alone on sacred edifices. Therefore, its absence on a building almost demonstrates that building to have been erected and adorned for sacred purposes. This is what they assume. Upon this consideration, we shall view the great edifice of Palenque as the temple and not the palace. And it might naturally be asked, if this is a palace, where is the temple? For in all ancient nations, the temple of worship was always the grandest edifice of a metropolis. Body was worshiping nothing. The same custom is still continued in more modern times. Rome has its St. Peter's and London its St. Paul's. And those are Tartarian buildings that the Vatican just named. All right. Okay, let's close that off. Great information. It already expressed who's of this land. So we don't need to go on all that dynamic. All right. But the thing is more about the soil, the earth. You dig what I'm saying? About so-called North Amexem, Ameru, Mary, whatever they, it doesn't matter. The name we belong to the soil, and these hijackers. Excuse me. have only utilized our information to usurp and pervert. Let me straighten this up a little more. My apologies. If you get what I'm coming from. You dig? Okay, let's get into Arthur Kessler, The 13th Tribe, by Arthur Kessler. Chapter 4, The Fall. Well, Fall. F-A-L-L. Excuse me, I'm sorry, gas, man. Wow, excuse me. In discussing Russian, Byzantine, I'm going to attempt my best not to do the rolling Russian, but anyway. In discussing Russian Byzantine relations in the 9th and 10th centuries, I have been able to quote at length from two detailed sources, Constantine's De Administrando and the primary Russian Chronicle. But on the Russian-Khazar confrontation during the same period to which we now turn, we have no comparable source material. The archives of Idil, if they ever existed, have gone with the wind, and for the history of the last 100 years of the Khazar Empire, we must again fall back on the disjointed casual hints found in various Arab chronicles and geographies. So wouldn't that mean that Palestine, all of them, they know they're not? Who was it Yitzer Arafat? What was his name that says, well, you left black, but you come back white? What was his name in 1972 or whatever? I forget his name. Anyway, I think it was 72, something like that. I forget his name. Right, check this out. The period in question extends from circa 862, the Russian occupation of Kiev, to circa 965, the destruction of Itil by Sviatol. Oh, I can't even get that word out, y'all. Sviatoslav. If any of y'all speak Russian, I can't get this word out. Sviatoslav. I'm messing it up. Sviatoslav. Something like that. I'll get it later on. After the loss of Kiev and the retreat of the Magyars into Hungary, the former western dependencies of the Khazar Empire, except for parts of the Crimea, were no longer under the Khagan's control, and the Prince of Kiev could without hindrance address the Slavonic tribes in the Dnieper basin with the cry, "Pay nothing to the Khazars." Wow. The Khazars may have been willing to acquiesce in the loss of their hegemony, and I know how to say that word. What's wrong with me right now? Hegemony in the West. But at the same time, there was also a growing encroachment by the Rus on the east down the Volga and into the regions around the Caspian. These Muslim lands bordering on the southern half of the Khazar Sea, Azerbaijan, Gilan, Shawan, Tabaristan, Jolshan, were tempting targets for the Viking fleets, both as objects of plunder and as trading posts for commerce with the Muslim Caliphate. But the approaches to the Caspian, past Idil, through the Volga Delta, were controlled by the Khazars, as the approaches to the Black Sea had been while they were still holding Kiev. And control meant that the Rus had to solicit permission for each flotilla to pass and pay the 10% customs due. And excuse me, my Russian brothers and sisters, for slapping up the words. And in the Navy, we had to learn quite a bit. And I kind of forgot how to get the SVY out. But anyway, I'll get it back. It's not the language I've been practicing. Anyway, permission for each flotilla to pass and pay the 10% custom due. A double insult to pride and pocket. For some time, there was a precarious modus vivendi. The Rus flotillas paid their due, sailed into the Khazar Sea, and traded with the people around it. But trade, as we saw, frequently became a synonym for plunder. Sometime between 864 and 884, a Rus expedition attacked the port of Abaskan in Tabaristan, and they were defeated. But in 910, they returned, plundered the city and countryside, and carried off a number of Muslim prisoners to be sold as slaves. To the Khazars, this must have been a grave embarrassment because of their friendly relations with the Caliphate, and also because of the crack regiment of Muslim mercenaries in their standing army. 3 years later, AD 913, matters came to a head in an armed confrontation which ended in a bloodbath. The major incident, already mentioned briefly, chapter 3, has been described in detail by Musadi. We went over that the fact that they had this competition, while the Russian chronicle passes it over in silence. Musadi tells us that sometime after the year of the Hijra, 300 AD 912-913, a Rus fleet of 500 ships, each manned by 100 persons, was approaching Khazar territory. And here we have. Get off of the screen. You don't do that. You know better than that. When the ships of the Rus came to the Khazars posted at the mouth of the strait, they sent a letter to the Khazar king, requesting to be allowed to pass through his country and descend his river, and so enter the sea of the Khazars, on condition that they should give him half of what they might take in booty from the peoples of the seacoast. He granted the permission, and they descended the river to the city of Itil, and passing through came out on the estuary of the river, where it joins the Khazar Sea. From the estuary to the city of Itil, the river is very large and its waters abundant. The ships of the Rus spread throughout the sea, and their raiding parties were directed against Jalan, Jorjan, Tabaristan, Aboskan on the coast of Jorjan, the Napta country, Baku, and the region of Azerbaijan. Y'all know Azerbaijan, people live in mountains, and it's pretty awesome how they live. The Rus shed blood, destroyed the women and children, took booty, and raided and burned in all directions. They even sacked the city of Ardabil. At 3 days' journey inland, when the people recovered from the shock and took to arms, the Rus, according to the classic strategy, withdrew from the coast to the islands near Baku. The natives, using small boats and merchant vessels, tried to dislodge them, but the Rus turned on them, and thousands of the Muslims were killed or drowned. The Rus continued many months in this sea. When they had collected enough booty and were tired of what they were about, they started for the mouth of the Khazar River, informing the king of the Khazars and conveying to him rich booty according to the conditions which had fixed with them. The Assyria, the Muslim mercenaries in the Khazar army, and other Muslims who lived in Khazaria learned of the situation of the Rus and said to the king of the Khazars, "Leave us to deal with these people. And they have raided the lands of the Muslims, our brothers, and have shed blood and enslaved women and children," and he could not gainsay them. So he sent for the Rus, informing them of the determination of the Muslims to fight them. The Muslims of the Khazars, pay attention, Khazaria, assembled and went forth to find the Rus, proceeding downstream on land from Idil to the Volga estuary. And when the two armies came within sight of each other, the Rus disembarked and drew up in order to battle against the Muslims, with whom were a number of Christians living in Itil, so that they were about 15,000 men with horses and equipment. The fighting continued for 3 days. God helped the Muslims against them. The Rus were put to the sword. Some were killed and others were drowned. Of those slain by the Muslim on the banks of the Khazar River, there were counted as 30,000. 5,000 of the Rus escaped, but these two were killed by the Bhutas and the Bulgars. This is Musadi's account of this disastrous Rus incursion into the Caspian in 912-13. It is, of course, biased. The Khazar ruler comes out of it as a double-crossing rascal, as we know them today, who acts first. Pay attention, all you dumb motherfuckers in you liberal states. First, I had to throw that in because I lived in one for a while. State, a passive accomplice of the Rus marauders, then authorizes the attack on them, but simultaneously informs them of the ambush prepared by the Muslims under his own command. Even of the Bulgars, Musadi says they are Muslims, although Ibn Fadlan, visiting the Bulgars 10 years later, describes them as still far from being converted. But though colored by religious prejudice, Masadi's accounts provided a glimpse of the dilemma or several dilemmas confronting the Khazar leadership. They may not have been unduly worried about the misfortunes suffered by the people on the Caspian shores. It was not a sentimental age, but what if the predatory Rus, after gaining control of Kiev and the Dnieper, were to establish a foothold on the Volga? Moreover, another Rus raid into the Caspian might bring down the wrath of the Caliphate, not on the Rus themselves, who are beyond its reach, but on the innocent, well, nearly innocent Khazars. Yeah, I had to hit old goofy boy from movies from Hollywood, you know who. I had to drop a little thing. He didn't respond to me. I gave him his biography. And I even said to him, you know who I'm talking about. An old pale skin actor, lives in New York, always running his mouth. When I said earlier, I gave him a biography. I said, hey, look, you want to keep calling yourself a Jew? This guy, he's probably a convert like the majority of them. Well, you know what I mean. He's one of the cousins of an Ashkenaz. But he's damn sure is not Shemitic. None of them are. Anyway, behold the pale horse. Behold the pale horse. Wait, who is that? Hold on. Excuse me, guys. No, we'll close that. It's too cool. I mean, it feels good to me, but it's too cool. Stop. No, they're working over there. Oh, it feels good. You gotta make me put the hoodie on. I mean, I like cold, but what's up? Yeah, I'm closing for a minute. We'll open back up. You're fine. Leave a little crack there. You can breathe. Stick your nose in there. It's just a little too chill, bro. It's chilled, bro. It's 64 degrees up in here, all right? Now, sleeping, that's fine. Right now, no. Cold showers and out there, no. It's too much, bro. You can run around all you want. It was 73, it dropped down to 64 degrees. And that cool breeze, because the back patio was cracked too, this just hit me like, whew. I was like, no goosebumps. I mean, I like the cold, but I'm like sitting here going, hold up now. I'm like he's trying to open the window, y'all. Child, what's wrong with you? Oh, okay. Let me go ahead and get to the reading. Whew. Anyway. All right. Yesterday when we left off, we read one part from Mr. Shafroth, and then Mr. Owen. And we got down to nations of Arab have a very large measure of self-government. However, I wish to call, again, behold the pale horse, Wayne Cooper. My apologies. However, I wish to call the attention of the Senate and the country to this important history and the growth of constitutional popular self-government. The Holy Alliance made its powers felt by the wholesale drastic suppression of the press in Europe, by universal censorship, by killing free speech and all ideas of popular rights, which you see these dumb bastards attempting today, okay? And by the complete suppression of popular government. Popular government, this government is not popular, and they have a bunch of actors who are just as stupid as the government. The Holy Alliance, having destroyed popular government in Spain and in Italy, had well-laid plans also to destroy popular governments in the American colonies, when you see that right now, which had revolted from Spain and Portugal in Central and South America, under the influence of the successful example of the United States. It was because of this conspiracy against the American republics, this is not a democracy, by the European monarchies that the great English statesman Canning called the attention of our government to it, and our statesmen then, including Thomas Jefferson, took an active part to bring about the declaration by President Monroe and his next annual message to the Congress of the United States, that the United States would regard it as an act of hostility to the government of the United States and an unfriendly act if this coalition or if any power of Europe ever undertook to establish upon the American continent any control of any American republic or to acquire any territorial rights. Yet this fraudulent fake president, because we had khans, we had kings, queens before this crap, this lie of history that these Ashkenazis have usurped and created in their lies. We weren't chasing these bastards down. Well, I'm going to leave that at that. This is the so-called Monroe Doctrine, the threat under the secret Treaty of Verona to suppress popular government in the American republics is the basis of the Monroe Doctrine. This secret treaty sets forth dearly the conflict between monarchical he's getting his run, he's getting his zooms on, government and popular government, and the government of the few as against the government of the many. It is a part in reality of developing popular sovereignty. When we demand for woman equal rights to life, to liberty, to the possession of property, to an equal voice in the making of the laws and the administration of the laws, this demand on the part of the woman is made by men. And it ought to be made by men as well as by thinking, progressive women, as it will promote human liberty and human happiness, to which it was already established. These bastards came in and just jacked everything up to usurp, create wars, and to lie and deny. And not everybody allowed it. If you listen to the media and education system, you would think so. No. Wars always create the havoc and the problems. Stop sending your children to these damn worthless wars. And if they say, I'm talking about, you got to sign up at 18, you don't lost your mind, boy. Don't sign up for nothing. You ain't entitled to sign nothing by a fraudulent government to be a sacrifice to a damn war of lies. Anyway, I still listen to special forces guys talking about 1911. You imbeciles, unless they're part of it. They did it from the government did it, you retards. I sympathize with it, and I hope that all parties will, in the national conventions, give their approval to this large measure of liberty to the better half of the human race. And this is the author's note. Anyone who believes that the monarchs, after being deposed, forgave and forgot, is not playing with a full deck. Exactly. Haven't forgiven, haven't forgotten nothing. Most of these families are wealthy beyond belief, and may be more powerful today than when they sat upon thrones. Today, they are known collectively as the black nobility. Just because the secret Treaty of Verona was signed in 1822 does not mean that the treaty is void. It is imperative that you realize he's doing his thing. Excuse me. I lost. Oh, that you realize that privately, the black nobility refuses to ever recognize any government other than their own inherited and divine right to rule. They work diligently behind the scenes to cause conditions whereby they might regain their crowns. They believe that the United States belongs to England, and this black nobility, they're not the real damn people in the first place. And then tomorrow we'll get into Goodbye USA, Hello New World Order. This is Mark Twain, 1885, y'all. Don't get it twisted. Get out of the Guinness bottles. Yes, I like Guinness. And PBR is my favorite, but Guinness, yeah. Boy. Thank you. You're losing your coof, man. DNA of the Gods, the Anunnaki creation of Eve, and the alien battle for humanity. Chris H. Hardy. I ain't saying you know the other part. Read this and then we'll give some shout outs. Remember I read this? In dark hidden chamber, in a field of supervision it lies. Your pedestal is closely knit as a fine mesh net. Your ancient measurements are surpassing. That's heavy. That is heavy. Dude, that is heavy. goodness. The gods have given unto my hand the pilot guiding instruments of heaven, earth. Mother of the sky chambers am I. And that's where we pretty much left off. Actually, we actually got down to Wars of 148, which is in that book right there. Let me see here. Let me go ahead. I said I would. Oh, you did all that? Because I hear you scratching. You scratching your kit litter? Yeah, go drop it like it's hot, man. You bugging. You is bugging. Oh, you right back, huh? You bugging, cuz. Let me see here. All right. This is the other. This is Wars of the Anunnaki, Nuclear Self-Destruction in Ancient Sumer by Chris. This is the other book. Okay. I want to make sure I'm on the right. Yeah. And this is a secret hiding place. A secret hiding place in a Mars or moon space base. And we know these are other lands. Anyway, it says, so let's have a fresh look using semantic fields theory at the Akkadian text unearthed in Nineveh that George Smith and later W.S.C. Boscawen translated, Wars 198. The thoughts of Marduk's heart were evil against the father of the gods. He was wicked. The people of Babylon he corrupted to sin, including small and great, to mingle on the mound. Wow. On the mound. We're the greatest mounds. Thus, only two groups of words show an informational framework. What is remarkable is this Akkadian text and the semantic field attached to it. It is one of the two texts I have seen so far that relates events in a moralistic framework, MF, that bears a worldview and values coherent and congruent with that of the book. We have the main ingredients, and we'll get into that when we get into this book. That is unnecessary. But yet you see that it was their own kind. As you see as the Ashkenaz. So who is leading who? What are the possibilities? What could be the influence? Anyway, have been the domain of Hathor wars, right? We know that we already went through the Anunnaki gets a new role. Okay, and in fact, each time an Anunnaki gets a new role, he or she is given a title name. Thus, Nimna is also called Ninhasag, Great Lady of the Hasag Mountains. When she gets to the gets the domain of the Sinai Mountain, and she is Ninti, Lady / Goddess of Life. When she bioengineers the Adamu's line, Sitchin recognizes in Nimna the goddess Hathor, that is described everywhere. Okay? Reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, y'all, just pay attention. Is clearly named as the mistress of the pyramid. The Egyptians considered the Sinai Peninsula to have been the domain of Hathor, which is Wars 148. The pyramid was called the Western Mountain of Hathor before the time when the Egyptian goddess Isis became herself the mistress of the pyramid. I know how to say this. Ning Ishizda. Thoth. All right, let's cut all that dang stuff out. The Egyptian god of mathematics, astronomy, geometry, and architecture, called the measure of the chord, on the start of his reign became the guardian of the secrets of the Ikur. And the Great Pyramid, according to the tales of the magicians, his Sumerian name, you already know what it means. I said it before. Ningishta. God dog it, man. It's messed up. My Spanish just wants to roll out. Ningishta, or my Yiddish, means Lord of the afterlife of life. The artifact of life, excuse me. Lord of the artifact of life. Yeah, I had to pull it back. That word, hold on. Ningishzida. Something silent. I forgot. Something silent. Anyways, Ning Gish. I'm just reading it as it's spelled. Okay, Ning Ningish Ningishta, I believe, means Lord of the artifact of life, or the guardian of the place of life. The tales further disclose that Thoth had in his custody the secret plans of the pyramid and had hidden them. And to the pharaoh Khufu, the magician answered, I know not the information in the designs, O king, but I know where the plans with numbers were hidden by Thoth. There is a box of whetstone in the sacred chamber called the chart room in Heliopolis, and they are in that box. That'll be in Wars 185. All right. And then the magician further discloses that Ra had decreed that this box could be found only by a future descendant of Khufu. Well, we know that they went and they found all this shit, and they are not descendants. They were directed by something, someone. As far as science is concerned, we are certainly able, but only since recently, to understand the kind of science necessary to tamper with the DNA and to make clones, as Nimna did, as well as how to calculate the path of a rocket ship or a probe, and how to build orbiting space stations. Through inference, now you got to remember, they've made you believe what an orbiting space station is. Space station, orbit, a planet. You think about Avengers, the heliopads. Come on, guys. All right, stay up. Anyway, through inferences based on what we have mastered, we can fathom how we could use wormholes for quasi-instant travels. Also, in some cases, we are able to revive somebody who was clinically dead, provided that is done very quickly. However, we are a whole science, indeed a paradigm, away from the type of spiritual and scientific artifacts that the Anunnaki seem to have mastered. This, in my view, will be precisely the type of holistic or integral science that we are going to discover and invent in this century. However, it will not be a replica of the olden science, because we are not the same people. It will be a different holistic science with some domains overlapping with the ancient science. And then we'll get into the enigmatic, I can't get that word out, MEs. Anyway, we'll get into that. And you bugging, cuz? Yo, for real, why you tripping? Oh, dude. You have really lost it, bro. Okay? Yes, you did. Well, why you all sideways looking at me? I'm not playing right now. I'm reading, bro. He is literally with his paw. Stand up for me. Oh, you want to eat? Okay, cool. Let me get some shout outs right quick. Who all's up in the house? Great Wolf, Grand Elevations, Ken Folk. What's going on? Mikey Hill, what's cracking? Lord Rondo, what's going on, brothers? My brothers, Herbo. Grand Elevations, everybody. Who's Frog? Okay, Halito, what's going on, bro? You changing that? I like that anyway. Oh, you changed your name again? Jesus Christmas, I guess I'm a frog now. Son's at it again. Tell him to leave your names alone. Well, I was like, who in the work that guy got a wrench like that? And then I see the okay. What's going on, baby girl? Herbo. Russian spelling looks like binary. I actually learned quite a bit of it. Not a lot, but quite a bit. When you go to, you have to learn how to be able to get around, man, in certain countries where they speak, Slavic language. And so, I'm just, my mind, I'm not hungry, but I know I'm going to be eating here and I'm going to lay back. I want to pass out after I eat and everything, But yeah, she's a frog now. You need somebody to kiss you, frog? Hey, what's going on, Ken folk? What's cracking? What's cracking? All right. Restriction Act that they're now attempting to. Yeah, man, it's worse than the Patriot Act. Obama signed that, but just because they're frauds. See, we allow ourselves to believe that anything they pass is legitimate. It is all illegitimate. It doesn't matter if they got little armies who are stupid enough to stand by it. If they were woke, they'd be like the rest of the world. But everybody over here is chemically lobotomized, so they're jacked in the head. You know, narcissistic dumbasses, not sociopaths or anything else. And yeah, they still disrespect their women. Just pulled up, Sue. Always worried about, yeah. Not all of them. You can't say that about all of them. Hey, Big Pontiac, what's cracking, brother? What's cracking? I hope you all subscribe to Big Pontiac and everybody else. And subscribe to Frog, Ribbit. And Ronald. Everybody's got a channel. Yeah, I need a prince to kiss me. You already know. Let's get into the Book of Giants, the Watchers, Nephilim, and the Book of Enoch. Did y'all see what I did? Reason why I went to the Wars of the Anunnaki, Nuclear Self-Destruction, and the Book of Hathor? Because these things are not, they didn't just get transcribed and prescribed everywhere, because even Hathor was here in North America as well as so-called South America. I hate this North and South America shit. But anyway, excuse my language. Even in Rome, so-called Rome, we know that this Rome here rivaled the one over there. And they had to bring these monoliths and megaliths down, to which I've already read, and it's amazing, right? Now, most people would think, oh, the Colosseum. We had one right over here in St. Louis. That's right. A Colosseum bigger than that raggedy thing that Bruce Lee ran around in. And what do they do it? Blow it up and bury it, and then go back later and use the blocks and stones to build other things. And this is what gets me, because I knew my great-great-uncle Tandy said, well, we got cities you wouldn't believe. And I was looking at my grandma, my great-grandma, Bettina Lee, like, what are he talking about? You know, after he talked to the oldest sons and daughters, we gathered a whole bunch of us in North Carolina, in Old Town was selling, at a family cookout, so origination of the powwow. So we danced, sang, and everything in circles around the fire. And Mama Tina says we have grand buildings, and a lot of them have been destroyed. I said that's what made me go to the library and start researching Tartaria. Because my grandma used to be like Tartary. That's all she would say. And if I said it, I would get knocked in the back of my head or plucked on my forehead. If we're around people going, I was just saying, you know, a kid, nah, you know, like the little cartoon, Tartary. You know how yeah, man. I'm telling you the dead ass truth. I'm the honest truth. And I'd be at Montclair Library, Public Library, digging out all these big old books weighing about 75 pounds, drawing and all the architecture and I don't even know if you can find all them books now these days. That was back in 1970s, freaking something, you know? So I've kept it going, even in the military. Everybody was like, what is he talking about? And then that's when people says, when we got to Scotland, Chief and them came and says, you coming with us. It wasn't like I was going to say no to these big bruising Korean, Vietnam War fighting, you know. I was like, okay. And I was like, what did I do? I thought I was going to end up missing. And everybody's like, no, we got your back. We got your back. Man, I went in there and had to drink them 12 drinks, man, 12 row. You know, I got to the last one, I had to pee. Stood up, busted my butt. I was flipped. I didn't even know it. 90-year-old woman, big old things for a 90-year-old woman. And they didn't have no breast augmentation. She was tall, too, for a Scottish woman, Master Mason. That's why when I used to hear Eastern Star, I was like, what is the Eastern Star? Because the women overseas are Masons as well. Anyway, and the 87 and 85-year-old. Anyway, they nursed me for an hour and a half, eating shepherd's pie and everything. And I was like, no, I got it. I can drink this now. I pissed like a racehorse, man. Them things are like a damn cleanser. Oh, I poo too. But anyway, right? I went back and drank them. That's when they started giving me all kind of tea. That's why when I listen to people, I see people get emotional when I'm talking about Masons, Islam, religion. I don't care. I know something you don't. Anyway, the Book of Giants, the Watchers, Nephilim, and the Book of Enoch by Joseph Lumpkin. And why didn't you tell us? Because you ain't fucking worthy yet. That's why. Just like that. Okay, when we last left off, trust me, you're not. We were in chapter 27. We had cleared through 26, and the last one, and I was very amazed at the rocks in the valleys. And what were we talking about? And all the valleys were deep and narrow, being formed from hard rock, and there were no trees planted on them. I believe this is right over here, the valley here. I am dead serious. Now, chapter 27 goes in 1. Then I said, what is the purpose of this blessed land? This is Enoch. And you know he has a different name, right? Do y'all remember? Anyway, blessed land, which is entirely filled with trees. And what is the purpose of this accursed valley between them? Who had the largest cypress trees on earth? The oldest trees. Where's the only place where gopher wood grew? On earth. This earth. On our ancestral soil. And they went, and it's in the what you call Book of Records, the Hall of Records, and it's in the Library of Congress, that there was a campaign to destroy as many gopher and giant cypress and pine trees as possible that were over thousands of years old. And who was behind it? Go read the names. The fake 13 tribe of the Kessler's mother suckers that were portraying themselves as Dutch and Franks, along with the Negroes of those lands who they had already indoctrinated after maybe about three centuries of war before they came here. And remember the idea of adding anywhere, and I told y'all 500. Now, I've read 2 places where it said 1,000 years they added. So is this 2023? You can deduce 1,000 or 500. It doesn't matter. This is not 2023. They are pushing forward to keep everybody. You jump on my medicine bag one more time, I'm gonna hit you with this Nike, right? Y'all heard that. He is having a ball. Go ahead. But anyway, it's up to you. And everybody that's sitting there still talking about happy birthday, you better not ever tell me happy birthday. I'm gonna block you. Anyway, I had to get that out. It's that important, people. We speak things in the power, and it's to remove time. It is not a compliment or an adoration of time. The spell is to remove time. Jeez. Anyway, then Uriel, one of the holy angels who was with me, answered and said, this accursed valley is for those who are cursed forever. Here shall all the accursed be gathered together, with no trees, no life, no nothing, who utter with their lips words against the Creator, not befitting his glory, or say hard things against him. Here shall they be gathered together, and here shall be their place of judgment. I always said to people, when I was over in Italy, and it was 5 of us, and I told you what happened. We had the one brother from Chicago, and I remember he was telling me about this one guy who was he went to California and he created the one part of the Bloods, but he became an actor and all this other stuff. I forget his name that he told me. And he was really doing his best to keep everybody, and you know, he was he was an actor in movies. He had all kind of businesses and stuff. I think he passed away in 2021, right? 56 to 2021, I think he died. And he was a Blood. But anyway, moved from Beverly Hills back down to friggin' LA Central, whatever. And he was standing there, and he said, he hit me, and I was the one. Did they just say, they singing over the thing? You could hear it. We weren't that far from the fictional Vatican. And I said, did they just say something loose for a light or something? And the brother from Chicago, who was telling me about the guy who left Chicago, who moved over to California, he created the V Lords, or he was a black lord, or whatever. You know, he was one of the original Blood band. Anyway, he spoke Italian. He's half Italian in us. And he says, oh yeah, they're singing Lucifer our Lord. I said, hey, and that's when we saw down the street at the corner, because we were waiting on these oven-made pizzas the way they really made, no sauce, right? This little woman coming out in this velvet of a little black strip gown, looked like little Annie with little white buttons, pale as this damn piece of paper, y'all. And she pulled, hiked that thing up, but that looked like Auschwitz behind, squatted down and pissed, looked like a river. And she looked up at us, and her eyes were solid black. Cause we was speed walking. If we had them little flaming shorts on, you would have thought we was the sweetest things walking up out of out of Italy, man. Getting back to Fleet Landing, man. We ain't care about the wine, the pizza. We done paid a whole arm and a leg for it. We ain't give us. We was switching and trying not to run. You know, walking fast than a motherfucker. Did you see that girl? Just be quiet. Just walk. They might be looking at us. Just keep walking. We was stepping. Black Pea Stones. That's it, brother. That's it. T. Rogers. Okay. That's it. Yeah, that's the brother was telling us about that. You know, we was talking about all kind of things. You know. And he, you know, wasn't related to him, but he was just giving me the whole breakdown, the dynamics. Because when he left Chicago, even though we knew we called him Chicago, you know, he was living in Missouri. Not Missouri. He was living in Virginia. Parents left Chicago. They was in Virginia. That's how he got into the Navy, you know, and we were stationed together. But anyway, let's go ahead and finish this up. It was pretty awesome. That was some crazy stuff to see all that and to hear that. You dig what I'm saying? So, and again, and then I went over the summits of all these mountains far. Was that it? Oh, yeah, excuse me. With their lips words against the Creator, not for befitting his glory or say hard things against him. Here shall they be gathered together, and here shall there be their place of judgment. So what I was alluding to is, let's say we use the word devil. I already did a video showing there's over 6,740 some names for this freaking enemy, or maybe that's how many of them there is. And what his thing was to convince everybody every time that the creator of creation is what he wants to get to, or they want to get to, destroy or fight or take the power. And they keep messing with and manipulating and messing with us and taunting and not knowing what they're doing because they're stuck. And we dismiss, because of the false religions they created, and our relationship to which is order, which no worship, no payment for anything is required. So everything they do is inverted. We must go in inversion and reclaim the reality as who needs to be paying for water? And they are the ones that poison it. Who needs to be paying rent and this, that, and other? And you see what they're doing, is sacrilege for land. And that's not what government's place is for. And that is the infiltration. But who would guide anybody to do the things they did? Well, we already read in Arthur Koestler in the war how these Ashkenazis would allow people to come in their great river to fight and kill the people who fight for them, and then send them to fight for them and inform the ones who did the murdering that they're coming to fight you. And even though they were lost, this is what I'm talking about, the disease of these bastards. And this is what they do now. Y'all know that, right? Every war, they pay for each one with a fiat that's worthless. It's based upon the souls of gold. Y'all know the odds, right? Come on, people. The 10 man, the 10 number. The scarecrow, the straw man, the cowardly lion, the lion, the odds for the ounce of gold, total. Who was total? Remember? The total of what? And then the wizard hiding in plain sight, but nobody knows who. Deduced by families. The ruby red slippers. You can't make this up. And then the trois. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, people. Everything they have put out in front of us are puzzles, and the enemy is to make us believe not in something, and yet to ostracize and have us conflicted to believe there's many of different things. Every time I see somebody, oh yeah, I follow Buddha, Christianity, even, and I'm like, you're a dumb son of a bitch. All those things are fictional. They're like thrice lines of things to keep you from walking on a narrow. Everyone. Okay, let's get back in the read. Here shall they be gathered together, and here shall be their place of judgment, in that valley, that place where no life exists. In the last days there shall be the spectacles of righteous judgment on them in the presence of the righteous forever. Here shall the merciful bless the creator of the creator of glory, the eternal king. How did we all become kings and kings, or khans? I believe Khan is the word, right? You see they use that in what was that, Star Trek? You can't make this stuff up, people. Nothing new under the sun. In the days of judgment, they shall bless him for the mercy in that he hath shown them. And you better believe those of us, the true righteous, that's the reason why we need to be in this position. I don't mind what they're doing, because these imbeciles have been compelled to stay doing the dumb things they do. And it's grand, because they really think they can fight that which they know nothing about, not even writing the scribes or even told by the enemy. Falsely believing they can overdo and overcome and overdo everything that has been laid out before them. That's how stupid they are. And then I bless the Creator and set out his glory and praise him gloriously. I think praise doesn't mean, all you know what praise means? Just giving thanks. It ain't no laying down and mumbling 1,000 different words. It's just giving thanks. It's that simple. As I give you praise. We've allowed these clergies and this all this bullshit from Theosophical Society and everything else to make people worship. I really believe that the gene or something was shot in somebody that passed down to make people believe they got to worship something. No. We're supposed to praise one another and be grateful for our existence and walk in harmony and balance with order. Is that too complicated? And we'll get into chapter 28 tomorrow. No, it's not that I figured it out. It's just that I know something. That's all. And if you don't know what I know, it's not my problem. It's no big deal. It's not an ego or anything. And it's not for me to say anything yet. That's the way it is. Exposing the Expositions of 1851-1915, revised edition, 2021, from his 2019, before the fake demic, by Howdy Mikowski. And that's Shalaga. There's even a book talking about how they went around with all the ornaments, changing or destroying or taking down with the faces and everything. It just boggled my mind. I got the book. Don't worry, we'll get to it. Check this out. I now believe, when we left off, let's go ahead and recap. And star forts, but can also refer various applications for fireplaces to early transports. I now believe that cathedrals originally had nothing to do with religion. They damn sure didn't. In fact, what we call Christianity might be a very recent invention, to which it is. When this new religion, or what might be called a new form of a very old religion, took over, and I already broke that down. You remember that, Stu, on Facebook? When I read the whole thing and showed the bus to which they used to keep hidden and worship? Questionable? Yeah. Yehoah? Yeah. Talking about Yahuwah and Yahweh and Yahweh, all this other dumb. Anyway, this praising these things or this one, whatever it is. In fact, check this out. It took over, they merely converted the existing specific design buildings in all cities into modern churches. The Pantheon in Rome is a good example of a building with originally one purpose being taken over to become a church. I think all of the pre-1800 churches were the great energy centers of their day. Exactly. Big holes in the middle would burn fires, but not of wood. It's crazy what I've learned. When pyramids could no longer be built, and underneath them, they've got them going. There's thermal cooling and heat that generates power. Underneath, it's like a labyrinth, and they go down very far, these buildings. Told you they got the one up running in Newark. One over in Italy. I forget the other ones. I got to look into it. They may have more running. Somebody says 7. I forget. I remember I talked about it. Last I knew it was 4. Somebody stated there was a 7 running. So anyway, well, the great energy centers of their day. When pyramids could no longer be built 4,000 years ago, the switch was made to large temple structures such as Luxor and Karnak. The Karnak, This perhaps lasted 1,000 or 2,000 years during the processional age of Aries. When another age change came, during the age of Pisces, a new phase of buildings began. Structures we now call cathedrals, a major feature is their giant towers and domes, used to bring down the energy of the atmosphere. To help with this feature, the roofs of the towers or domes included some form of copper and often balls of liquid mercury. Facts. Sometimes the mercury was placed within the vases of statues that lined the roof. Hot on the tin roof? Take a look under the dome of the German Reichstag, and one will find a very odd, gigantic copper coil pointing down from the dome. Facts. It really makes no sense from the standpoint of ornamentation. But if the dome is actually a type of electrical energy generator, then it makes much more sense as to why such a copper coil would be present. I believe if we were allowed a detailed examination of the world's great cathedrals, we will find similar things under their domes and towers. Rosewindle, St. Nicholas Cathedral, Nantes. Look at this. And we know that sound with sand, water, I don't care if it's salt, which is the only square, and our sugar, makes these designs based on vibrations up to 8 hertz and 432, 178, without going to the 440, which makes a very disruptive line. You know, 440 hertz is it's a dead thing. All right, just like 528 and 178. Isn't that beautiful? And it's even stated that in your stomach at certain times, the same thing happens with your blood. The proper frequencies for healing. That's why they're hitting us with these repeaters. Thank you, Rondo, for on that drive showing the sickness of these bastards. Oh, we'll get to this part tomorrow. To the construction of the cathedrals and so forth. Now, let's get into the heaven bearers. What was that? Somebody? Hey, Max B, what's cracking, brother? Yeah, it's not so much demonic, honey. It's just a work. It's the story is being told based on what has happened, what was being established. It's like they made a movie looking at, putting it out there to show how dumb people have become. This is what we're doing to you. Because when that came out, my grandma and them didn't have no Social Security damn card, no damn birth certificate. They had birth certificates of life, foot and handprint. Not my great grandma. She didn't have that. My grandma. Because that's what they were doing. You see what I'm saying? Oh, my mother, not my grandma, my great grandmother. My grandmother, because she became a nurse, she actually got a Social Security card because 82 years old, she retired as a nurse. She didn't know nothing about all that crap. You see what I'm saying? Getting her full pension and some. She got to a point where she was like making 70 something, almost $100 an hour in her 80s, like as a nurse. Come on. It's not demonic though, baby. Well, yes, it's evil. It's Jannah. But yeah, it's definitely Jannah, honey. And thank you, I knew no, we didn't have to thank. Say, please, we shared on the mind. Exactly. Mercury was the conduits and pyramids. Yeah, but also liquid lead, which it's a lot. Cobalt, all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Organs were healing too. What did I read about that one organ they took down and took over to fake ass England, right? It made how many sounds? Over how many? 17 million. Let's imagine that 17.69 or 9 million different tones. Man, and the women were able, y'all were able to do the same thing. But no, they take that and misuse that at the A440 to which they agreed upon. We read on that, okay? On that music that keeps everybody jacked, stuck, you know. Heaven Bearers, the Great Reset of 1834 and the Mud Flood, Janine Helen. And there she is. You know, I got to show her in South Africa. Oh, man. Let's see what's going on now. Ooh-wee. Okay. I stand before each one of you today, whether you are Tartarian, Phoenician, or human. And I declare that we are all equal citizens of the great empire of Tartaria. We shall all share in her good fortune. That's why I tell you, I'm not human. I don't know. I'm not no hue of a man. I'm the original. We are the original. And that's why they came over here, to sleep with the women, to make these new things and the whiting out and all the other stuff. If you know about Albert Pike and, Kessler, and why they wanted to stop it, all of a sudden they realized it wasn't going to work with us. I'm just saying, look it up. Anyway, we shall all share sharing in her good fortune and her riches. I declare peace and harmony, which will be achieved as a matter of the will of our hearts. That's heavy. She swallows hard suddenly and gazes in silence for a moment. We have achieved a new covenant with Mother Nature, order, and I look forward to a healthy and trusting relationship with her. Her eyes flash gold, and the memories of that dreadful day replay in her mind. To the covenant. The crowd cheers in unison. To the covenant, as a salutation. The crowd cheers in unison, and the strength of their cheer gives her goosebumps. They run all the way down her spine, and she has never felt so much purpose in all her life. She is proud and amazed at the love and trust that is radiating from the people that stand before her. We must, though, however, not forget how we reached this point. We lost many good and innocent souls, fathers, mothers, siblings, children, and loved ones. Her voice breaks with emotion, and she needs to clear her throat. I implore each of you to bow your heads now as we remember them, and together share a minute of silence. She bows her head, and the crowd follows her. Lead and bow their heads without hesitation. She is thinking about her father in this very moment, and she can't help but wish he was here today. She can feel Malcolm comfort her thoughts, and she raises her head again. Citizens of Tartaria, the war is not over. I wish I had better news, but I do not. I cannot claim to know the day or the hour, nor can I tell you whether it will be soon or in many years to come. But the angel of death has escaped through the firmament, and I know he will return one day. And I try to lay siege to our new empire, our home. She takes a deep breath and scans all the faces in the front row. And maybe one of y'all, hear me. He will not succeed again, not this time, so let him come. The crowd cheers hysterically, and the sound echoes back and forth like ocean waves crashing up against a rock wall at the edge of the shoreline or the basin. Bonnie, it is time. Cassiel gestures for her to get down onto one knee so she can take her oath. And he takes the staff from her and holds it out in front of her. Please place your hand here, my queen, and repeat after me. And we'll pick the next part up. I'm not reading all this because it's quite a few pages. We're going to pick the next part up because it's different. Now we start, yeah. I'm grateful for y'all hanging with me for an hour and 20-something minutes. We're going to come back in about 3 hours. I got to eat, y'all. At least 2 meals, small meals. Got to get my fruits and get my little regular vegetables and all that. But the gods of Eden and the giants of America. Yeah, man. Appreciate y'all. Let me see, what's that? Somehow we have broken the covenant. I want to know it did to break it. Well, you know what they call the Milky Way? Now, if you know about the story of the Comet of the Long, they say the Comet of the Long Tail. I say that's a riff. That's a reminder. And the story of the Pale Wolf and Dark Wolf, that's a reminder. And that's why we must be ever vigilant. That everything that they're doing right now is nothing new about it. And when we transpose, did we come from somewhere else as an invention? No, I believe that there are moments when I believe that certain people were brought here to usurp us, and we fought vigilant and we fell. But we were capable of so much more that we became lax because what we were capable of. But I'm here to tell you, we are capable of 1,000 times more than that. You saw the picture that I showed you guys, right? Of what the brothers built. It looked exactly what? Tartarian. Who rebuilt the fictional White House, the government buildings, the Franklin House? Who rebuilt them? Who moved the obelisk? Not no damn Slav and no damn indentured or no orphan. Our people did. And not no nigger from Africa called a Moor. I'm so tired of that retarded ass. Every time I see one of these dumb Negroes open their mouth and say that, I just look at them like, you know, you cursing yourself, don't even know what you're doing. But anyway, I appreciate it. I'll be grateful when everybody else starts checking the notifications and coming around and realize, dude, there's something to actually be learned instead of just a bunch of hogwash and envy and zealousness and all the other dumb things that all these idiots run around with. And I call them idiots until they're not idiots no more. And besides that, I need to get down and hit my little 22 push-ups and then go and get my smoothie made. You know, I gotta get everything crunching. Let me stop. You know, I was talking. I'm just messing. But I appreciate everybody. To my beautiful sisters, what's going on with Mama Red, y'all? Anyway, I'm gonna go to her page and see what the hell and be like, where you at? You okay? You alive? No tornadoes? I don't know where she live at. And to my brothers, you know, it's always 2 and 1. And I was attempting to get you to tell the pale wolf and the dark wolf, but you're too smart. No, we're not too smart. We're not being as smart as we truly are. You see what I just did? I live like this. When I deal with people, when they say things, it's everybody I do that. And it probably drives some people crazy, to which I don't care. If they need to start doing it, to start looking at the world and life totally different from how they look at it. To see it for what it is, and then see it for what it truly is. You dig? Hold on, very quick. Oh, I'm going to read some of this stuff to you guys, but not a lot, because y'all need to really, I'll tell you, just purchase the books, all right? If you want to have them for yourself, because it'll be good for the family. If you're going through something, to be able to go into it, you don't have to get all by curious and become all religious and everything, all right? Now, if you want to walk in religion, walk it wholly and calmly, but know that you're not a pushover, all right? But I knock them because nobody's really walking it. Only a few people I've actually met. The majority are all full of shit. You know what I mean? Damn, Snoop, you sent me $50. Oh, excuse me. Thank you, baby. I just went over here. I was going to say Nahua G. I already told you. Appreciate it. Damn, mama. All right. Roger that. All right, we're almost there. Even though I'm matching equal. You know. I gotta go say hi to the landlord and them. But anyway, you know, it's number love, all of you. I'm grateful for those who hung on. I'm grateful for those who come over and pay attention and listen to the reads. You know, my inserts are just mine, based upon what I've learned, in my opinion. You can insert your own, whatever you've learned or figured out. You can put your own in there. It's a beautiful thing, and this is what we need to be teaching our children. Like, look at things different. The hell with the school system, because that makes you, everything I learned in college or whatever school I went to, when I was at work, none of it worked, none of it helped except for writing. And you see, they stopped teaching cursive, right? I think they said some places they still do it though, but I mean, come on. The agenda's in everybody's face, and everybody's still divided and separated. Now, I know I come across, you think that Red's going to, some of you ignorant ones, Red's going to divide the white, Spanish, the black, and all them crayon colors, you goofies. No. I'm going to hit you hard in the head for being the dumbasses you are with the fake history you run around with. And I'm going to call you back in and say, what the fuck's up? You want to get together? You see, the problem is on everybody's head. But you don't have to be the issue of the problem. You know, we can fix this. We'll see. It's CHERRN, children. I love how you say it, though. You know it. Anyway, y'all have a grand day. I appreciate everybody coming in. I really do. And I'm hungry like a wolf. I'm gonna have to get that and karaoke that at the bowl one night. And I'm hungry like a wolf. I get jammed though. But anyway, I used to sing in the chorus at church, and then I was rapping and harmonizing and getting my thing in. All of us from Jersey and New York, originally from the Carolinas, the country, and Arkansas and Louisiana, we can get down for hours. We can get down for our crown. We can, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, love y'all. I know I love it too, But mad respect, and I'm gonna get with y'all here in a little bit, okay? I gotta eat.